was Abel, and I'm the founder of Fairphone. And Fairphone, we make phones, obviously, but we try to make them as fair as possible by focusing on working conditions and the ecological footprint of the phone, by design, the mining, manufacturing, and looking at how we recycle things. There's challenges in different areas, and I think the main challenge is on the economic level. Right? So what we try to do is we try to create systemic change. And if you want to create systemic change, you also have to look at your own business model and how it operates within that economic system. Of which a lot of the things happening in the world are also a consequence of how that system operates. For example, the working conditions in the factories, lower wages. If you look at mining, there's a lot of and you have conflict minerals problems where there's a lot of conflicts related to the mining of minerals. There is the working conditions there, and again, the added value throughout the whole supply chain is mainly going to the brands like Fairphone. And what we try to do is to add that value also on different levels in the supply chain to the people that are involved in making the products, and also looking at the behavior of consumers on how they use these products, because in the end, if consumers can, if they use their products, and the phone in this case twice as long, you only need to produce half the amount of phones, which is is very good for the environment compared to what we're doing now. So there's many things that we focus on when we look at it from a holistic point of view, and with that come dilemmas as well. Recycling is always better than mining. Mining is environmentally not the right thing to do, but still we need mining for all the products that we create. So we are still also active in that area. One of the basics under which we work is that we focus on keeping the phone used as long as possible, because that's what by far the biggest impact, positive impact can be made. And that's a combination of designing the phone from an eco-design perspective, so to make sure that people can use it longer, that it's easier to replace parts, to keep the value of the product as high as possible for as long as possible. That is what we focus on. But of course, at a certain point, a phone might come to the end of life. Because we design the phones in a modular way, it's easier to separate the materials. But in the take-back programs, we, unfortunately, that is how phones are recycled at the moment. Components on a component level, almost nothing of a phone is still being used. So what happens is, and that has to change, is that most of the recycled products in smartphones, they just end up in an oven and they burn it, and they take back the minerals that are most valuable. So, and not even all phones are recycled. Only a few of the phones are being recycled at the moment. And you have to question yourself: is it, if it's even as a problem that they're not recycled because of the way it's being recycled at the moment. So that is, we focus really on extending that lifetime, and at the same time we look at what needs to happen on the remanufacturing and refurbishment of phones to make sure that we actually use and reuse components instead of having to burn the phones to get the minerals back. So we also have recycling programs ourselves. So what we do see that it's important to get phones back that are that end up in a landfill somewhere around the world, because they do not have the right recycling facilities there. So the phones that end up there, they end up sometimes in a landfill together with the batteries that are glued to the inside with all the chemicals that might go into the ground. So we also take care of making sure that we have electronic waste discarded with in a proper way. It's what we've been set up for. Our mission of the company is to show that you can act more responsibly. And to be able to do that, you also need a market that wants that to happen. It's very easy to blame companies for not doing what needs to be done. But if you look at how people at the moment, or how consumers still use their phones, it's not longer than 1.5 to 2 years that they use it, and then they go to the next phone. And there's consequences to that. And if we really want also companies to start behaving in a better way, then we also have to look at what we're willing to compromise as consumers. Yeah, that there's no clear black and white. There's no. I always say the sustainability is a dirty business. Electronic waste is even dirtier, I think. Dirty means that you will, it's not clear-cut win-win, and there's no black and white and wrong or right in many of these cases. And you might make the wrong decisions at certain points, and you find out along the way. And to be able to do that, you need to have a certain vulnerability as a company and be open about the mistakes you make as well. So you have to embrace the fact that things will be difficult and that there's no clear-cut answer to some of these things, and experiment. And I always see social innovation, and as with any innovation, you will see that some things work and some things don't, and that's why innovation is so important, and we have to look at it as innovation. That we don't just see it as a solution already for a problem that we're still trying to understand. A training program actually of 4 months, 3 or 4 months was it in London with Bethnal Green Ventures, and that was on Google campus at that time, and that was really focusing on the full business model development. So that was really on how to set up a company. So we were all people that had ideas, but that didn't have a solid business model, financing model, all these things ready yet. So it was very, very valuable, and specifically because we had focus. And if that focus is 1 week or 3 months, it doesn't really matter. It's really, really good to be outside of that company perspective and even outside of the country sometimes to be able to get the headspace to focus on vision and other things, and to interact with other entrepreneurs. And sometimes it also helps to talk about the hardship of things, because there's a lot of things that entrepreneurs run into, which can feel very lonely. And I think the loneliness of what you're dealing with also helps when you can discuss that with other people that are in similar situations. The beginning was not that was I didn't know what I was getting into anyway. So it was, and I think it's a great journey, but it can be hard sometimes. And I think I didn't do too much on this level. I would have, looking back at some of the moments in time, I think I would have benefited from the fact that I would be more interacting with other entrepreneurs and changing ideas, because now I find out that a lot of the things that I was dealing with was also felt by other entrepreneurs, and it helps. It's like Alcohol Anonymous. I see it as an Entrepreneur Anonymous. We have to have these groups, you can complain about all the things that are happening without any consequences. Yeah.